Hi everyone, and welcome to the first week of our rhetorical analysis unit. So in this unit, you're going to be identifying an audience for a specific piece of writing and writing an essay that makes an argument about that audience. So I wanted to first of all go over the assignment with you and then talk about what's due this week, okay? So the actual rhetorical analysis essay, and let me click back to it so I can find the assignment outline for you, is going to ask you to choose from one of three pieces of writing. There it is. And after you've read them, pick one to write about, okay? Now, for that essay, you are going to choose two possible audiences that piece of writing is addressing, and then you're going to make an argument about those two audiences. Your argument might be the piece of writing addresses one audience really well and the other one really well or not so well. Your argument might be these two audiences are very similar. It might be these two audiences are very different. Right? There are lots of different possibilities of how you might formulate this argument. But the first thing you have to do is tell me the title and author of the piece that you're writing about. Then you need to provide a short summary of the piece. Then you need a thesis statement where you identify the two possible audiences of that piece and make some sort of argument about them. Then you're going to write 3 or 4 paragraphs in which you explain why you think that's one of the target audiences and support the argument that you're making about them using quotes from your essay, the one that you're writing about. Then you're going to spend 3 or 4 paragraphs doing the same thing for the second audience. So you need to make sure that you keep the two audiences separate in your essay. 3 or 4 paragraphs about the first one, 3 or 4 paragraphs about the second one, and then provide some sort of conclusion, okay? So this is going to be a very structured essay. An introduction with the title, the author, a summary, and then your thesis statement. Several paragraphs talking about the first audience that includes quotations from the piece of writing that you're focused on. Then several paragraphs about the second audience that includes quotations from the piece of writing that you're focused on. And finally, a conclusion. All right. Now, for this week, we're not going to start writing yet. The first thing we need to do is read those 3 possible essays and choose the one you want to write about. So they are linked for you here. The first is called Disability by Nancy Mayers. The second is Cultural Baggage by Barbara Einrenreich, and the third is April in Paris by David Sedaris. So you're going to read those. You're going to read the section on how to write a summary and the section on audience. And then you are going to write a summary of each of the 3 readings. So that means you should have 3 summaries, all right, for number 1. Then for part 2, you're going to identify one possible audience for each of these essays, right? And this needs to be specific. Don't tell me just people. Tell me like college students or women between the ages of 30 and 45, or people with college degrees, or people who live in a certain place, or people who like to read certain kinds of books. The more specific you can be with the audience, the easier your life is going to be, both in terms of making an argument about them and in terms of pulling out specific quotations from the essay to support the argument that you're making, all right? So once you identify one audience for each of the 3 pieces of writing, you're going to tell me the author's name, tell me the audience you're identifying, and then provide 3 quotations that support your reading that is one of the intended audiences, okay? Then you're going to say, why do these examples support the assertion of audience? All right, so a summary for each of the pieces, author's name, audience, 3 quotes, and then why. That's what you're turning in for this week. I understand that this is kind of a lot and can be complicated, so if you have questions, just email me and I'm happy to answer them. Again, we're doing this for all 3 of the readings, and then next week you're going to choose one of those 3 readings to write your second essay about.